This guy walks up, homeless guy, I think, walks up. He better be homeless.
I think it's...
keep going. And can you feel the contraction? No. Then stop pushing. Like,
yeah.
Cut it.
Yes, she did wreck me, but it's all better now.
And she's like, I'm doing it. I'm breathing. I'm trying. I cannot do this. Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda and this is some of my family. Not all of us are here, but if you've been following along and you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I was pregnant with our second child. And well, she's here, guys. This is baby number 2.
Are you gonna, don't be rude. Say hello.
She's actually smiling. So I'm here with my husband, with Raf, and our eldest is Isabella. She is 2 and a bit, and she's out at nursery at the moment. And so I thought it's the perfect time to get this recorded and tell you all about the birth of this little one. Mm-hmm. Do you want to share her name, Raf?
So this is Athena Chloe.
Yeah, Athena Chloe. And I know people are going to ask about the name.
Uh-huh.
So the way in which we chose the name, similar to how we chose Isabella's, we went through a bit of there's like a baby name app. Tinder for names, and you like do it with your partner on your each phone, and you match upon names. And Raf found the name Athena, and I loved it.
We didn't actually match it though, did we? I just saw it.
I don't know, but you saw it on the app. And then it means wisdom. I believe it's like the Greek goddess of wisdom and war or something.
Wisdom and war, yeah. And you don't want to mess around with someone who's wise and loves war, so yeah, watch out for this one.
And her middle name is Chloe, which means, I believe it means blossoming. And it's my granddad's sister's name, my great aunt. And it's someone that I used to spend a lot of time with when I was younger. She was one of my favourite aunts. And so I just liked it. And our eldest is called Isabella Callie, and we've got Athena Chloe, so they kind of match. And yeah, that's who this little one is. She's 8 days old. And yeah, we're just going to get into the story because we haven't really discussed it. We're just going to tell it and see where it goes. Also on my Instagram, I'll ask for any questions anyone has about the whole birth experience, and I've got some really good questions, and so at the end I will answer those.
Yeah. If you are a subscriber but not a follower on Instagram, what are you doing? Jump over to there. It's
the same thing, Life with Dr. Amanda.
Now, if you are watching this
for the first time,
well done, great.
Subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe. Definitely subscribe because we like subscribers. And you'll like us.
Right, so Athena was due on the 11th of May, and she actually ended up coming on the 16th of May.
Yes.
Which was the one day of May that we thought would be best for her not to be born on.
I predicted the 8th.
You predicted the 8th, I predicted nothing. But
I did predict natural birth.
Yes, you did. But let's get into the story. We don't want this to be too long. But yeah, so on the 16th of May, which was her grandma, her go-go, Raf's mom's birthday, and my brother's birthday, this little one came into the world at 4:27 p.m. That was a Monday, and she's now 8 days, like I said. And yes, you've alluded to it. We did end up having a natural birth. Well, I don't want to say natural. It wasn't a secret, but a vaginal delivery. So my first child was a C-section, and so I was aiming to have a VBAC, a spontaneous birth. I didn't want to have an induction. I didn't want to have an elective C-section. I wanted a VBAC, mainly because I found recovering from a C-section last time very, very difficult. And secondly, I want more children in the future, possibly, and I don't want to be having multiple abdominal surgeries if I can avoid it. And so VBAC was the option that I really wanted to go for. And if any of you have been overdue, I was 5 days overdue when I had her. And as soon as your due date comes, you just think, can my body do this? Can it ever go to labour? But it did. I was getting a bit disheartened that I was going to have this induction that was scheduled for the 22nd of May, but we didn't make it there, so that's good.
We're past that day now.
Yeah, it would have been yesterday. We were supposed to be induced, but she...
Only Sunday.
But she came early, so that's good. Yeah. Well, she came late, but on time. So, let's see. So the day before, on Sunday...
So Sunday, me and Izzy do our normal daddy-daughter day, swimming, went to go see Twirly Woos.
Oh yeah, you went to go see the Twirly Woos live.
whilst Amanda was at home having these new feelings, right?
So yeah, on Sunday, I don't know what happened. That morning, when they were out at swimming, I started getting like really emotional. And when they got home, I was like, Raf, I need you to take some pictures. And I made Raf take some pictures of me and the bump on the bed. Because just like I wanted to capture it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was just like really emotional, and I think maybe it's because my body was starting to go into labour, and so I wanted to capture it. They went out to the Twirlywoos to see this live show, a little treat for Isabella, and whilst I was making dinner, I started to have some what felt like more than Braxton Hicks contractions. They were more painful, more tight. I was like, what's going on? They were like happening a bit more regularly. But still no pattern. I could still do stuff, and I also had like this nesting urge, and so I made 2 meals. It's like I need to cook, I need to make sure the kitchen's clean, I need to get all this done, and so I made like these 2 meals that would last us some time. They came home, we had dinner, and then the contractions were still going, but still quite manageable. And then I said to Ralph, I'm going to get in the bath. You put Isabella to bed. I was like, I'm going to get in the bath, and if they die off, then they die off, and I'll just go to sleep. And that was the Sunday, wasn't it? Got in the bath, and it kind of died down.
How many baths did you have last week?
That week I maybe had like 3.
Like the third one. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I had. So before that, actually, I had been having sweeps every week since 38 weeks, and I also went for some reflexology at the birth centre I was booked into, and the reflexology I had on the Wednesday. No, I had reflexology on the Thursday. She gave me some oils to help me go into labour. She gave me a sweep. And she said that my cervix was like jelly at the time. And yeah, so that was on Thursday. And she said, give it until Monday. If there's nothing happened by Monday, we can repeat the process. She came on Monday. So I feel like the reflexology, the oils maybe did help. The sweep helps a bit. And so yeah, that's when I had the bath. And the pains were still there. But I got into bed and they all kind of just settled down. I went to sleep.
And I feel like to prepare for this, obviously because we knew that the due date was there, been trying to get a lot of sleep, going to bed early and all that kind of stuff. For some reason this Sunday I just decided I wasn't going to go to bed early.
Yeah, I don't know why. And we've been so good the whole week.
Yeah, I don't know. And to be honest, I don't know. I was kind of banking on coming on Monday because I didn't really prepare for work. Like I had a quick look, but I wasn't really like planning the lessons. So I went to bed about 12. Amanda woke me up about 2.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I think about 1:30 I woke up and I was having contractions, most definitely. And I tried watching some videos on my phone just to distract myself, and the contractions were getting more and more. And then Raf woke up, and I realised he woke up because of how heavily and deeply I was breathing because I was so uncomfortable. But I was still sleepy, and like the pains were coming on. I didn't really know what they were. And then I said to Raf, you know what, I think I'm having contractions. I'm a bit uncomfortable lying down. I'm going to get up, just go to the bathroom and go downstairs and just bounce on the ball for a bit. Don't worry about getting out of bed. I'll be all right. I just need to get a new position. You get some rest. And so I went to the bathroom, had a contraction in there. Then I went to go downstairs and I got to the top of the stairs and I said, can't do it. So I went back to the bedroom and said, Raf, get up. Raf, get up and get me the TENS machine. And that's where it started really, about 2:30 that was. And the contractions were coming quite regularly, really, and they were quite painful, very, very different to anything I was experiencing before. And I knew it was time to, like, go time. On the Sunday, because of those contractions, I did put my parents on standby. And so about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I rang my mum, and she didn't even say anything, like, she answered the phone, I'm coming. I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah. So I think, so obviously in the meantime, we're doing the TENS machine stuff. Trying to time the contractions.
Yeah, I've actually got the time. Oh yeah, I've got the timer and stuff here actually.
Yeah, but I mean.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, we were timing contractions.
So we had the times.
And upstairs, I feel like they were every 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, and then then I went downstairs onto the ball.
Did you?
Yeah, and when I was down there, my parents came.
What was I doing?
Getting ready. Remember you trying to pack the bags, like not pack the bags, but just get the bags ready, get yourself ready.
Oh,
mum
yeah.
Going up and down the stairs.
Yeah. So at this point here, I'm still a bit discombobulated. Obviously, man's had like
2 hours.
2 hours of sleep, maximum. And then I filmed this. So I think the time's here now. Amanda's woken up, 10 machines out.
heavy breathing. So yeah, journey starts now.
And as you can see, I was a bit. I was sleep deprived, but I was trying to get used to it. Acclimatized to new life.
we did try and film as much as we could.
It's a start.
As you will see, it tails off because it gets a bit intense.
Just like last time. So yeah, we go downstairs. Everything's ready. Jump in the whip.
Yeah, we go down, and I'm like, should I go in? And I'm like saying to Mum, I don't know if she
should go in. Yeah. I thought we already decided, and that's why we told them.
Oh dear. We may need to break for a feed. Okay. False alarm.
False alarm. She just wanted to look at it. Just checking it's still there. You know, when you go to the fridge, you're like, yeah. I'm eating those leftovers later. Oh, is that just me? Anyway.
We were saying let's go in, but when you were upstairs getting all the bags down, I rang the birth centre. I was booked in at a birth centre that was in the hospital, so, you know, I could use both areas. I had the option of going to both places, but I wanted to go to the birth centre. So, called the birth centre. They said, yeah, come on in. Whilst I was on the phone, I had a contraction. They were like, listening to me, and they're like, yeah, come on in. So we went there, and we got there about 4 o'clock. I was having contractions throughout the car journey.
Yeah.
I was having them when I got to the door. I was having them as I walked in.
Oh, yeah, I do remember all this.
Yeah, and so I was still having contractions. So anyway, we get there, and we met by, what's her name? Helen?
I don't know what she's called, but...
I think she was called Helen.
She was a dread.
She was a white lady with long dreads.
Dreads, actually.
She was so lovely, and we went through, and then she examined me, and she was like, darling, you're still just 1 centimetre. I want you to go home. And she said that she wants it to be 2 hours straight.
2 hours straight, she said?
So 2 hours where I can time my contractions like clockwork every 3 minutes.
Lasting 90 seconds.
Yeah, lasting 60 to 90 seconds. And she goes, you're not quite there yet. But she goes, I think it's coming. She said that I'm back in a couple of nights. So maybe I'll deliver your daughter.
Yeah.
So she really
talking about like full moon and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's like, there's a full moon, so, you know, people's waters go, all this stuff. But she's like, you're not ready yet. It might be a couple of days.
That's mad, actually.
And this is me like, a couple of days. Damn, okay, because this pain it's there. So then when we left there, just before 5 o'clock, so we got to McDonald's drive-through.
So we set off, we go home, contractions still coming. Amanda was a little bit grumpy. Obviously, she's like, yo, a couple of days and that.
I was grumpy.
Yeah, she's like, I can't deal with that for a couple of days. And I was like, I can't deal with that for a couple of days. So we're hungry by this point. I think I was hungry before we set off, to be fair. But stop off at McDonald's on the way back.
Yes, me drink.
I thought you had a bottle of water. So do you know what? It's funny because I hate McDonald's. Little tangent. I hate McDonald's. But do you know what I hate more than McDonald's? McDonald's breakfast. And we pulled up just as it changed to McDonald's breakfast time.
Yeah, but they still...
but they still patterned us and we got the normal thing. But anyway, so as we're ordering, this guy walks up, homeless guy, I think, walks up. He better be homeless.
I think it's
and he's like, oh, you got any money in that? I was like, bro, I ain't got no money, I ain't got no chip, I ain't got no cash because we don't do cash. He's like, oh, can I get some food then? I was like, yeah, man, do you think? So the guy at McDonald's must have obviously heard this through the intercom. And he's like, yeah, so what else? And the guy's like, so let's say Amanda's me and I'm the guy. So he's like, what can I get? He looks at me and I'm like, yeah, man, do you think? So he's like, oh, can I get this and this and also this and this and a hot chocolate.
And they were like,
yeah,
right.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, I'll meet you around there.
Get me 7 sugars.
Can you get me 7 sugars as well, please? And I was like, boy.
I don't know what you're doing with 7 sugars and a hot chocolate. But anyway, that was
so
that.
Yeah, so we did that. Filmed another video. So we are now in the car park at McDonald's. Eating breakfast. What do you say, latent labour. So we're making some good progress. It's not there yet. Need a bit more of a pattern, but we'll get there.
And then went home?
And then we're home.
We get home maybe something to 6, 5:30, something to 6, something like that.
Did I even get back into bed?
Yeah, you went to, I said to Raph.
Did I though?
I don't know what you did.
I don't think
I came to the living room. It's all dark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I came to the living room. It was all dark.
I remember that now.
And I was like, Raf, I'm just going to try and get a bit of rest in the sofa and breathe these contractions. You get some rest. We're going to be here for days, okay? I'm just going to see if I can handle these by myself with this little TENS machine thing.
Yeah.
Mum was here as well. My dad had gone to go and get I don't know what, he'd left for a minute. Anyway, my mum was here. Isabella was still asleep. Raf, I think you went to bed. I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah, I got like an hour. I think I got like an extra hour.
Yeah, and I was down here, breathing through contractions, and Isabella got up, and my mum got her ready for nursery, and then she comes downstairs and she opens the living room door, and I'm like, hey, baby. I'm like here, just like having all these contractions on my knees, like bent over the sofa, and then I say bye to her. Mum and dad take her to nursery, and then, yeah. And then I'm like, no. And then before they leave, I was like, Mum, you need to call Raf. He needs to come down. And I actually was ringing Raf. He's like, call me if there's any problems. I think it must have had like 5 missed calls from me. I was like, where is
to be fair,
this guy?
When I woke up, I saw the missed calls. I was like, oh, mad. It's like one of them, you see that meme about the guy that's like, yeah, man, call me if you need me. And you put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. Yeah,
I rang him so many times. And then I was like, Mum, get Raf before you leave. So he comes down, having these contractions. And then we move upstairs. I say, you know what, I think I need to lie down. Let me lie down, see if I can get some rest. Maybe the ease off.
Did you get in the bath?
But I got into bed first.
Oh, okay.
I got into bed first, and then we were both on in and out of sleep for about an hour or two.
Oh, yeah. Because every time you had a contraction, I was like...
Yeah, like tapping my back, and I was like, just get off me.
Yeah, man, you're good.
And so I was like drifting, like sleeping on and off. And then I think it got to about 9, just after 9, I was like, nah. I can't lie down anymore. These contractions are something else. I can't do it. So I got out of bed. You got the ball. Got me a banana. Got me some sweets and coconut water. And we're bouncing, trying to snack on them because I'm starving.
Yeah.
But
you didn't eat much McDonald's.
Yeah, I couldn't really eat the McDonald's. I was starving. I was bouncing. I was like, okay, nah. I need to try something else. These TENS machine. I was like, what is this TENS machine doing? Just zap me in the back for no reason. And then I was like, you know what? Water. Do you remember with Isabella the water, man? It really helped.
Yeah.
So I was like, run the bath.
So I run the bath. Man gets in the bath. Probably only like 10-15 minutes.
The problem with the bath is because in the birth, you know, when you've got like a birthing pool, you can get on all fours. That's how I was getting through contractions in the birthing pool.
And
in my bath,
there's obviously a lot. There's more water.
In the bath, I'm on my back, like I'm lying back, and the contraction. Oh my goodness! And you put on the meditation thing for me.
I'm not gonna lie. I really thought that when you was getting in the bath, I was like, winning. I'm gonna get another hour sleep or something. Man is like, are you timing? So I'm sat on the toilet.
Yeah, you're sat there timing it.
Listening to the meditation, trying to guess when you're having a contraction because you have to try not to talk or anything. So I'm trying to time that, listen to this meditation thing. Candles weren't on this time, were they?
No.
Just in the bath.
And then I was like, nah,
get me out.
Nah, get me out of here. I can't do it. I'm like, this is ramping up so quickly. And it must be something 10 now. And then this is the point where I call one of my best friends. She's a doctor in like obstetrics and gynecology, so she does labour every day, all the time, and she's just amazing. Shout out to you, Sana. You are the MVP. So yeah, we call her. And I'm like, Sana, something has changed. What do you think I should do? And whilst I'm on the phone to her, I'm having contraction after contraction, and she's telling me like, you know, relax my jaw, make deeper noises, all this stuff. And she's like, Amanda, I think you need to go in. And she's saying it very calmly. She's like, do you think you should go in? Maybe you should, if you think something's changed. But I know she was like, go back to the hospital, go back to the birth centre, like just get back there. I'm like, okay, so if you think I should go in. But the midwife, she said, you know, it needs to be like every 3 minutes. It's like every 4. And Sandra's like, I think you should go back. Don't you think you should go back?
Do you know what? To be fair, I think like this is one of the things that they teach you when you go to like the first classes, that brain in it. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the B stands for.
Benefits.
Or the R.
Risks.
I think the I was instinct though. Yeah, is I instinct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what my point is. Like, because your instinct was, oh, nah, it's definitely changed. Right,
it's something different.
I can't feel it, but I'm going by what the expert told us of. It needs to be like this and like this.
So Raf's like, hold out a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, chill. It's not 3 minutes. They're not 90 seconds long.
Yeah, they're like, it's like a minute and 20 seconds, Amanda. It's not quite. And I'm like, nah, something's changed. Sam's like, no, go back then. And then as we're getting ready to go, like I'm trying to put my dress on and get ready and dressed and stuff, my waters go and it makes me panic. So I'm sat there and I'm like, oh, my waters have gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is happening so quickly. I was told a couple of days, these pains are getting more intense, getting longer, and now my waters have gone. What do I do?
No. Okay.
I was panicking, but I wasn't.
Yeah, you was big panicking, and I was like, mad too.
But yeah, just for a minute, because I was like, gosh, everything's going so quick. And I hadn't done this before in it. I was induced before. I was in hospital the entire time. I didn't have to have a single contraction at home. So I ring Santa back and I'm like, oh my gosh, my waters have gone. And like, the contractions still come in. So I was like, okay, get in the car and go. Can you walk to the car?
Get in the car now. Raph, you need to get in the car now, because if you can't get in the car, if you can't move, you have to call the ambulance. So let's get in the car now before another contraction. I heard that and was like, alright, cool, boom. I didn't even really consider what I was wearing, but I knew I had some clothes on. So we just grabbed all the bags. No, in fact, the bags were still in the car.
Yeah, everything was in the car.
Literally just helped Amanda down the stairs because she got dressed. Or she has to change what she was wearing.
Yeah, because my waters broke on them. No, this is why I was panicking as well, because I saw like a little bit of the waters that have gone on the blanket on the bed. And I was like, there's meconium in that, the baby's pooed. And that's why I was like, I'm not in hospital, my waters have gone, everything's going quicker, and this baby's pooed inside me. Like, she's obviously in distress. This is going so wrong. And then Santa's like, don't worry, 30% of post-dates babies, you know, they have meconium, don't worry, just get to the hospital, blah, blah. And so I ring the birth centre, they say, yeah, come on back in. We get into the car, and like everyone says, you know, oh, that drive back to the hospital, usually, you know, because you're not at home and you're transitioning, like, you know, the labour will slow down. Don't worry about that. Once you're comfortable again, it will ramp back up. Did it, heck? It didn't slow down.
You know what's funny though?
Oh my goodness, there was no break.
So when we jumped in the car, like, I looked at Amanda and I was like, can I drive fast? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay. Slipped into sport, made no difference whatsoever. But yeah, so driving there, whatever. The issue was, it was now obviously what, 10, no, it was after 11, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's coming to 11 o'clock now.
So I was quite worried about the traffic around the hospital because there's loads of roadworks. But we get there, recorded another video whilst we were in the car, kind of waiting. Currently sat in traffic, we're on our way back. Waters are broken. Contractions are built up. Amanda's out in the bar. It's been a movie so far. But she's doing well. She's doing really well. The disbelief was there. I think the relief now here. So yeah. We soon come. Then we get to the hospital. You get into the Serenity Suite.
Yeah, we get to the birth centre, the Serenity Suite,
yeah.
And I'm just having contraction after contraction after contraction. And then they check me, and they're trying to decide if there's meconium or not. They can't decide if it's my show or if it's meconium, and they're just trying to decide on that. They're talking to and because although I'm a VBAC, I discussed with them, and we talked about the different risks and everything with going to the birth centre rather than the labour suite as a VBAC, and we were happy to do the birth centre. We knew that if there's any other signs of distress, we would have to go to the labour suite. And if there was meconium, we'd have to go to the labour suite. So they spoke with the labour suite whilst they were trying to decide if it was meconium or not. And the plan was put a pad on, go into one of the birthing rooms, do some birthing stuff there, have some contractions there, and then they check my pad in about half an hour to see if there was meconium there or not. And so whilst we went round, and they checked me before, I was 3 centimetres now. And so there were some differences, but active labour is from 4 centimetres, right? And so it was still that latent phase, but because of how painful, consistent my contractions were and that my waters had gone, they were like, no, you should stay here now. And so went into the birthing room, and it was just amazing because we rang Sana, and Sana was on there. Like, Raph has been the best birthing partner ever, so calm, telling me to relax my shoulders, doing all the things, like breathe, helping me with positions, like checking, giving me fluids, all that kind of stuff.
I was the DJ. Yeah,
you were the DJ, talking to the midwives for me, just doing all the things. And then Sana was there on the phone, and she was just like this calming presence of just like, and she was very so authoritative.
Do you know what's funny though?
Like, breathe, relax your jaw, relax everything, deeper noises, Amanda. Yes, that's right, that's perfect. Well done, you're doing amazing. Your body can do this. You can birth.
Every 15 minutes?
Yeah, they've been listing it. Well, they've been doing more than that, but yeah, they're listing it.
Yeah, brilliant. That sounds really sensible. You got a clean pad on.
Yeah.
Whatever feels comfortable and whatever feels right as you get the contractions, go with it. Yeah. So if all fours feels good, then go with that. If rocking feels good, then go with that.
Yeah.
Between contractions, where I could try.
She was just like,
when
she was great, man.
When anyone came into the room, though, they were kind of like, they come in and they're like,
who is that?
where's that coming from? What's going on?
Who is that person? And they're like, you need to pay her. She's amazing. And so yeah, she was doing that, and then the midwife was there, and she said that the position from when they examined, she wasn't in the best position.
Head was back or something.
Yeah, rather than it being the smallest part, it was like the front here. And so she said, let's do some things to try and move baby. And so she got a towel and she first put it under my belly, around my belly, and was like shaking my belly.
Yeah, took the weight off.
And then shake it.
Like the way that you like polish a bowling ball.
Yeah.
And then what did you bum?
And then she did the same thing to my hips, my bottom and stuff, and it was great. And she was doing stuff to my thighs and all sorts. And so I had this like amazing little team around me. The little student midwife was sorry, that's probably patronising. The student midwife was there as well. Yeah, it was just great. And then they checked the pad and it was meconium, so we had to go to the delivery suite. But still, because I wasn't quite 4 centimetres and
I thought we were at the delivery suite. What did you call it before?
Birthing centre.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so we had to go to the labour suite or the the hospital delivery room, delivery ward, whatever. And so they were waiting for a room to be ready for me and a midwife to be ready to take me. And so we maybe stayed in the birth centre for about an hour and a half, 2 hours in total.
Yeah, 2 hours max.
And then it was time to move, and so I got into a wheelchair and they wheeled me around.
So whilst this is going on, obviously there was like, oh, do you want some pain relief?
And I was like, what can I have? Because I was handling it, but it was,
Just take the edge off in it, and you were offered
paracetamol
and codeine. We spoke about what's the difference between the two and we made a decision, went for one of them.
Yeah, because the pain relief that I wanted, guys, was the pool. But at this point, meconium, VBAC, it wasn't going to be an option. And so the water wasn't, I just couldn't have it.
So was that, we opted for something, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was the codeine.
I think it was codeine, yeah.
So we've gone for that. I think it's something to do with, what did she say? Codeine? This is what Sandra said. Codeine said that.
The midwife said, she knows sometimes like something can slow down labour. Yeah. And the midwife stepped out of the room and Sam was like, I've never heard that before. I think it's a load of rubbish.
No, but not that. But also then apparently paracetamol can do the same thing. But no, what I remember is she was saying that codeine turns into
dimorphine.
Morphine in your system, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. So we've asked for that. Now, if you've seen the other birthing video or birth story, the other birth story, link up there, so you will see that obviously people. I was on edge this time. I'm ready to back it in it. So I'm like, cool. We've asked for this. We need to get it. So I think I've
all of us were a bit on smoke in it. This is gonna be a good birth experience. Yeah.
So I think I mentioned it again before we left, but we didn't get it. It was like, we'll sort it out when we get there. So the wheeled us across to the new place because Amanda was on all fours in the birthing suite.
And I was really handling it like that.
I was like, can we sort out this room so that we can get it the same way? They was like, the bed goes like that, so we can put a seat. So we put it in a seat version. Amanda's on all fours. She's comfortable. And then the new midwife comes in. The new midwife isn't about that customer service life. Customer ain't king. Amanda was not the queen. She was just she came in, Amanda's having a contraction, and she kind of wanted to just get to it straight away. Amanda's on the phone, still listening to Sana. I'm like, we're all working as a team to get it sorted. And then she's kind of looking over Amanda's shoulder at me, and she's like, can I have a conversation with her? I was like, yeah, of course you can. After the contraction, she's not able to talk to you right now. And she's like, I'll come back. So she was being really impatient or whatever when she gets there. And then she's talking about the position that Amanda's in. She's like, we need to monitor the baby. The monitoring thing ain't gonna work in that position. I was like, well, we need to try first because this is where she's most comfortable. So let's try it like this. Before we say it don't work, let's prove it doesn't work. So we get her in that position. She can't really find it. So Amanda's on the back, really uncomfortable. Every contraction is then really, really painful. So we're like, right, what's gonna work for you? So she stands up. I get one of the chairs because they're like really high back chairs. So Amanda's basically leaning over the back of that. And she's like, oh yeah, it's still gonna be quite difficult to monitor the baby, tear. But I'm like, we need to try. So we're trying that. And it's not really monitoring us.
Yeah, and this is some of the problems. So the reason I didn't want to go to the labour suite is just because being a VBAC, going to the labour suite, they would have wanted to continuously monitor me, so put me on the CTG, which would have limited some of the positions that I could do, and also limited I wouldn't be able to get into the pool with it. And so on balance, I said that if I was going into spontaneous labour and there wasn't any other risky things going on, nothing else untoward with the labour, I wanted to be on the birth centre, so I didn't have continuous monitoring, and so that I could get into whatever positions I wanted to, I could use the pool. But obviously as soon as she had the meconium in the waters, that option wasn't there. And so on the labour suite, this is one of my fears, that I was continuously monitored. The positions that I wanted to go into, I wasn't allowed to be in those positions really because they couldn't monitor her properly. And so whereas I went from feeling like I was in more control of what I was doing and I could find some way to manage it, I found that once I went to the labour suite, what I was doing before wasn't managing it. The breathing, it was all too much because I was being forced to be in these positions on my back or move here or move there, and I wanted the baby to be monitored. It was a sacrifice that I was fine with because of the meconium, but it just meant that the birth was going to be different to what I was hoping for. And so this is when they offered me gas and air. I cannot stand gas and air. I hate it. I used it for a little bit with Isabella when I was giving birth, and it made me feel so unwell, so out of it, and I really don't like feeling out of control of my body. But if I needed to be laying on my back or sat like this, there was no way that I was going to manage my contractions like that. I didn't want to have an epidural. I didn't really want any other painkillers, and so I took the gas and air. And when I tell you, I was high as a kite. I was floating through that room.
But you know what's interesting actually, I guess compared to, because you had the gas and air out this time, you tried it before, you didn't like it, but the midwife wasn't really in the room as often the first time because I was able to try it quite a few times.
Oh, okay.
Whereas this time...
Yeah, but it's because she was in stress and I was in active
labour.
labour.
No, but I'm saying that's good, isn't it? The fact that,
and I was in active
So
labour
she was a lot more present, which was good.
And I was chugging on that thing. But okay, let's go back. So we get round to the delivery suite about 2:10, and she checks me at some point in that time. I would say maybe 2:20, maybe 10 minutes later she checks me. She's on 4 centimetres now. So I went from 3 to 4 centimetres in maybe an hour.
Active labour.
And so now I'm in active labour. I already knew this, the way that things were going. I was puffing on that gas and air, and yeah, it just sent me completely out of my body. I could still hear everything that was going on, but it just made me feel, and I could still feel the pains, but it just made me dissociate from it, basically.
Yeah, it changes. Don't you think it kind of changes the sensation?
Yeah, and so I knew that when they were coming on, I just had to that gas and air.
Yeah, so
my lifeline, because
Amanda did well because obviously, so she she could hear everything, so she was still following these instructions.
Yeah, I was following everything.
So when we're talking about control your breathing, slow it down, relax your shoulders, do this, do that.
Apparently, I was doing amazingly. This is what everyone's telling me. I was so good.
Yeah, smashed it. It was really good. Even when she was changing the Inco pads and stuff, she's like, "Alright, can you lift up?" You'd lift up and you'd hold it there the whole time. And I was like, "Oh, mounting, okay."
I was floating through. I was floating through the sky the whole time.
Chatting some foolishness, about, did they find Jacob's friend? Which, what you know about? He went missing, innit? Where's Jacob's friend? Jacob who? Is it nursery? They pick it, have they found him from nursery? Did they pick him up? What's going on? Did they pick up Izzy from nursery? No, Jacob, Jacob and his friends, where are they? Is it, I need to know.
I don't know what any of this is.
We don't know anyone called Jacob that's in nursery.
Yeah, we have a nephew called Jacob, but he's most definitely not nursery age.
Yeah. So anyway, but it was been effective. So we're moving along, we're progressing.
And then I remember being examined and being told that I'm 6 centimetres.
Oh yeah.
And then next thing you know, I'm just I don't know the time things. I only know the times now because they told me afterwards. The time, I'm just I need to push. And I just start pushing. I'm I can't stop it. And I can't stop pushing.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm talking about and I've got the urge to push. And
I was like, I can't.
And I can't
And
help it.
and the midwife's like, don't push. You can't push.
And then because she said that, I'm like, yeah, don't push. Just concentrate on your breathing.
And I'm like,
Sandra's
okay.
like, instead of making noise and trying to do all that, like, just focus on your breathing.
Yeah.
Just breathe it all out. Any sort of pain you're feeling, breathe it all out.
Yeah, but what Sam said that I was doing is that I started like shouting when instead of she's like what she tells people is that you can't. It's really hard to tell women not to push when they get the urge to push, and so rather than telling them not to push, you say like let out the noise, and it makes you have an ineffective push. Because the problem is if you push in a cervix that isn't fully dilated, you can make it swollen, and that just leads to a C-section basically. Like you can't birth a baby like that. And so she said that and then I started making these noises that was showing that my pushes weren't going to be effective. But I was like, I can't, and that's when I was saying that if you want me not to push, you need to give me an epidural. This is when I don't want an epidural, but I can't stop myself pushing.
We were having this conversation leading up to this. I remember now. We were having this conversation leading up to it, and we were saying because you were still in a lot of pain, and this is when I was like, but we still been calling for these painkillers, and they still haven't arrived yet. Like, what's going on? And I know, like, we're talking about paracetamol and codeine or whatever, and childbirth. Like, it's like giving someone a paracetamol for a gunshot wound, but the point that I'm focusing on was I asked you for it and it still ain't here. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it's going to be ineffective now. And I'm like, but that's not the point. I don't care if it's going to be ineffective now. I've already asked you for it.
I was high. I didn't know any of this was going on, but he wasn't having a good time.
Yeah, I'm like, I've already asked, like, it doesn't matter if it's going to be effective now or not. Like, it could have been. But anyway, what we're going to do now. And so she, like, I felt like the midwife was trying to push us towards epidural because that would have meant that you were more, you would have been glued to the spot, less moving, and you know what I mean, that's where she wanted you in the first place.
And that's I didn't want epidural, but the only reason I said epidural was because I was like, if you want me not to push, I can't control it, so you need to take away the feeling, so you need to give me an epidural.
So now I'm like, you've been pushing for this epidural, not you, the midwife. Midwife pushing for the epidural. We've now said we want epidural. Run the thing, like, where you at, do it now. And Amanda's like,
it don't work like that.
I don't care. Alright? I don't care. So she was like, Amanda's like, yeah, like, if you don't want me to push, I can't push. Get me the epidural now, or I'm going to keep pushing. Like, I can't help it anymore. She's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, yeah, go get the thing in it. Like, hurry up. You go get that. The thing that you wanted to happen all along is not going to happen. Hurry up and go get it sorted. And we're going through this process, going through. Finally, my man turns up.
Hi, I'm Tom.
It wasn't even hi, I'm Tom.
I remember him saying his name, Tom.
No, it was Tom.
Okay.
No, I'm saying Tom from MySpace. No, my mum walks into the room. Now, you got to remember, like, my wife's there with the things out. Like, you can't just be walking in the room. You can't, like, let the person have some dignity in it. So my mum didn't knock on nothing like that because other people were knocking before they came in. He just walked straight across the room, looking at some papers or whatever. I'm like, yo, are you the anaesthetist? Didn't say nothing. I'm like, excuse me, hello, are you the anaesthetist? He's like, hi, yeah, I am, yeah. Right, finally comes around and talks to Amanda after, like, he's trying to get in between, like, the wave of contractions.
They just weren't letting up.
Yeah, so, like, he jumped in and Amanda's falling asleep, all sorts is going on. We finally get a present. He's like, right, I'm the anaesthetist. We're going to give you the epidural, you're happy with it, running through everything.
And the next thing I know, someone's like, you're 10 centimetres, push.
Yeah, and then, like, they checked. I think I don't know what they were saying. I think maybe it was the heart rate that dropped. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, but they checked me. And I kept saying I needed to push.
Did the consultant come in?
Yeah, I don't know when she came, but the consultant was there.
And she's
I
like,
kept saying I needed to push.
Yeah, like, have we checked her? Before we get to that point, have we checked her?
Yeah, and they checked me, and the whole time I was saying this urge to push is because I was fully dilated. And, like, you're fully dilated, you can push now. And then I was like, oh. And they took the gas and air off me, and I was flung back into reality with the full force of everything. And there's all these people there, and apparently I started bleeding, and they were like, baby's heart rate had dropped to nothing, and they were like, you need to push right now. And I can hear things going on, like they're drawing up some, like, local anaesthetic, and
they gave it to you, didn't they?
No, they didn't get a chance to. They didn't give anything. They'd all drawing stuff up. They're saying to push. They're like, pull back your legs, more, give more.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Yeah, so at this point now, like, Amanda's got legs up. She's like,
and
push,
they put
okay,
and then they put my legs into the stirrups.
Yeah, but even before we got to that, like, she's like, right, you need to push. So Amanda's giving it everything she's got. She's like, no, I need more than that. Come on, push. She's like, no, the heart rate's dropped. Like, we need to get this baby out now.
Yeah.
Right, okay, push. More than that. No, more than that. Give me more. And I'm like, yo, relax. And then the
and I
thing
try
is,
and take a breath, and they're like, more, no, don't stop. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
keep going. And can you feel the contraction? No. Then stop pushing. Like, for goodness sake. So, I'm stood there like, first of all, why are you shouting? Like,
They're panicking.
I know, but you're making this a lot more dramatic, innit? Like, remain calm.
But let me tell you the timings. Remember, I
Hold on.
got to the Labour Ward delivery suite at 2:10. They checked me maybe 2:20. I was 4 centimeters. 4 o'clock, I was 10 centimeters. So in less than 2 hours, I went from 4 to 10. And in that time, I was 6 centimeters at one point. I was told not to push. Like, everything's very quick. Like, it's an hour and a half from active labour just starting at 4 centimeters to get this baby out right now. And so I didn't know things were going this quickly because I was high for a lot of it. And then suddenly they're like,
It's time to push.
it's time to push. And I was like, oh my gosh.
But whilst they're doing all this and telling you to push and grab your legs and do this, I'm like, but this position is not conducive to child labour. Like, it's not really, it's not the one, innit? Like, and I'm like, but you're not even giving it, because I think, when they told the man to start pushing, I think at one point she must have held onto the side of the bed, so she was on the side, or maybe they checked something, I can't remember. But when she was on the side and she started pushing, even that was better for her. And she mentioned that, she's like, oh wait, you were giving better pushes when you're on your side, which was only like 30 seconds worth. But, so now she's back on her back, and she's like, no, you need to push more, and I'm like, guys.
Yeah, but they want me in that position because we'll talk about like the debrief of it afterwards.
But the thing is as well though, the whole time from the minute we got in there, she was like, you can't be on your all fours, you can't stand up because I want to monitor you and I want to monitor the baby properly.
Yeah.
When she then realised that Amanda wasn't going to stay, well, Amanda was staying pretty still, but the heart monitor that they put in is resting on jelly. Like, it's not going to stay in the place anyway. She's like, oh, I'll be back in a minute. And she comes with some straps that has it in the right place. So Amanda could have been in the position that she wanted to be in from the beginning. Yeah. And that's how I was just like, you came in here, you wanted to dictate what's going on instead of realising what works for this person and then facilitating that. So she was like, oh yeah, like, I went to go get these. But anyway, so she got them and Amanda could have been in a better position, but she wasn't.
Yeah. But we may need to pause to feed this little one.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, but basically, they told me to push. They're like, push. Give more. And then at 4:27, about 20 minutes into pushing, this one popped out.
Why are you just going to jump ahead?
Okay, go on. You carry on. Go on, man.
So anyway, yeah, end of the story. She's here now. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. So, yeah, obviously, there's still a lot of urgency. Amanda's not concentrating on holding her legs up because she's trying to push. So then they get out the stirrups, put her legs on the stirrups. Amanda's pushing. Like, Athena's head is coming out, take her head in, and then once the push is finished, she's going back in every single time. She's like, oh, I think get the, I think she's like, episiotomy, get the scissors, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
Yeah, and so they were ready apparently with the bronchies.
They was getting,
and they were going to give me an episiotomy to get her out.
Yeah, they were ready. They were on standby. Amanda's pushing, and then finally the head pops out, and I can see just a head full of hair. I was like, "Yo, like, you're doing it. You here? You're doing it." And I was like, "Just one more push now. Just one more push, and she'll be all out. It'll be all good." And then you do it. You smashed it. Like, literally, she came out, flopped on the table, all limp and that, and I was like, because of the urgency and the fact that there's a bleed, the heart rate's dropped, and this, that, the other. Neither of us have been in this situation before, so now she's just lying on the bed. There's a lot of fluid and all. I'm like, I don't know if it's normal or not, and she ain't made no noise yet, so I'm kind of like, what's going on? Is she gonna make a noise? Like, what's going on? And then she cries, and Amanda can hear her crying. And it's like, oh, great, cool.
That was nice, isn't it?
And then we remembered Sana was on the phone. And Sana was like, yeah, Raph, like, you enjoy your thing, like, congratulations and whatnot. I cut the cord.
Yeah.
Cut it. Yeah, so the thing was way too long, I had to cut it. Sorry.
Okay.
So we cut it, and then she was like, oh, do you want to keep the scissors? Do you want these?
We're just not keepsake people. I don't know who the scissors are. They're upstairs somewhere.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, cool, sweet. And then
Sorry guys, the squeaky baby.
Yeah,
and then they were like...
After she came out, did skin to skin, put on Amanda.
And she fed.
And she pooed.
And she pooed all over my belly. And then they checked me and they're like, you've got a 3rd degree tear. And so I ended up in theatre anyway to get repaired. But yeah, that was the birth story really. Yeah, I went to theatre. Raf stayed with Athena. I didn't have a epidural. They gave me a spinal, so
spinal.
Just like numb my bottom half. Got repaired and everything. This is when everyone discovered that I was a doctor because I don't see the need to share it. Everyone discovered I was a doctor, and I don't know. Maybe it's a story from another video, but things changed. Like I felt like people were dealing with me a bit differently. People coming to me in recovery to give me debriefs, show me the CTG, explain everything.
Trying to justify.
Yeah, explain everything that was going through their mind. In theatre, we were just having like nice conversations and stuff. Everyone like asking what do I do and blah blah blah. The person that actually repaired me was like had worked with one of my friends before, and we had a little chat and. Yeah, and it was fine. Then we went round and to recovery, and these two met us there. And then like I broke and I just cried uncontrollably for so long.
It wasn't long. It was like 5-10 minutes max.
I just couldn't stop crying. I was just so overwhelmed and so happy.
These times, Athena's just sleeping the whole time.
Yeah. And I got my little toast and tea and. Yeah, because I hadn't eaten most of the day. And then we got moved up to the postnatal ward, and you had to leave me then. Yeah. And I was in for 2 nights. I was supposed to come home the next day. You know, I was walking, I was weeing, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, obviously it was quite swollen and painful down below. But but then I started feeling really dizzy. And as the day was going on, like I could hardly sit up without the room spinning. And anyway, I lost quite a bit of blood and I needed a blood transfusion, so I got a unit of blood. That was also a bit of having to advocate for myself because they wanted to send me home with iron. And then we were like, no, we need a bit more than that. And the reg was like, no, it's not protocol. And then Sana ended up speaking to them. And then she spoke to her boss, one of the consultants. And the consultant came and was like, actually spoke to the haematologist consultant as well. And they do think that actually I should have some blood. Yeah, and then anyway, I came home the next day, had a blood transfusion on day 1, came home the following day in the morning, and yeah, we've been vlogging the first week back home, so next week you can see a bit more about postpartum, and I will be doing a video all about postpartum recovery as well, but that was our birth story. That's how Athena Chloe entered the family.
Came in like a wrecking ball?
Yes, she did wreck me, but it's all better now. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was quite long, but there was just so much to it. Yeah. And there's some questions that people have asked on Instagram, so we're going to get into those. And then that's it for the video. But please leave down below, what do you think of the birth story? I will say, someone does ask this about if it's a positive experience, and I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. But I'm really happy with the birth. I feel really accomplished and proud of myself.
Which you should.
And yeah, she's here and she's safe, and that's what's really
important. I think
and I'm feeling good as well.
I think we need to deep the fact that previously you had the TENS machine, you had morphine, you had gas and air, you had the epidural, and it just got cut out of you. Whereas this time, the TENS machine
wasn't helping.
You dashed that way.
I left it at home.
You had no painkillers. You had some gas and air, but really, you did that all by yourself.
Just me, by myself.
Like you backed it, yeah. Like no help whatsoever. Well, you had like more support and stuff, but you did that all by yourself. And you were at one point you were like, oh, I don't know if my body's built for this.
Yeah.
And then you showed that your body was built for it.
Yeah. It was nice, and especially compared to the first birth that I had, it felt like a healing birth. It was really nice. But yeah, let's get into the questions then.
Gonna try to do it rapid fire, Cara. You lot probably got things to do in it. Right, okay. So first question, would you describe the actual labour and birth as a positive experience? and what do you think about positive birth? P.S. We love you.
Love you too. So yes, I would say that I had a positive birth experience. I think from Matt's perspective, I'm not going to talk for you, but there was definitely some parts that weren't positive for you. But I feel like I had a really positive birth. And although it wasn't my dream birth, I didn't get to stay on the delivery suite. I didn't get to do it in water. I didn't get to have all the positions that I wanted to. And yes, it was complicated by a 3rd-degree tear and a bit of an emergency situation where I had people barking instructions at me. Those things were all not ideal, but it was a positive birth because I got to do things on my terms. I felt like I did get advocated for. I felt like I had really good support around me. And positive was also about what your perspective is. If you're wanting to have a birth where, you know, it's completely chill, completely relaxed, you don't feel anything, and you choose to have an epidural and you get the birth that you want, that's positive. If you leave there feeling as though you did the best that you could and that you were treated well, I feel like that's important. And positive births are all about perspectives. And so someone might look at my birth and say it's not a positive one, but it's not for you to dictate that or say that. So yes, I had a really positive birth, I think. The reason why it felt positive as well is because afterwards I was debriefed. They came to me, they showed me the monitor, they showed me when her heart rate dropped, and it explained why they were so urgent for me to push. And when I saw how low her heart rate went, especially me coming from a medical background, and I saw that on there, I was like, you should have done everything in your power to make sure that my baby came out safe. When you saw that her heart rate was dropping down to like 50. That's ridiculous. And so if you let me go on all fours and breathe her out and then there's something wrong with her, I would not have been happy. And so the fact that, yes, they barked instructions at me, it helped me, it made me push, and she didn't have to have a ventouse, she didn't have any bruising from it. I didn't have to, and yes, the episiotomy might have been better than tearing, but either way, I saw the urgency, I saw why they did that, and that's why she had to come out the way she did. It would have been nice not to have to be monitored the entire time, but as soon as she had meconium, I knew that I'd have to be monitored the whole time. And then the way they changed the positions I had to be in, and then having to use the Gassadare to cope with that, I feel at peace with all of it because it was all to protect her. And it was all based on the situation rather than these pre-made plans and rules that are made, you know, without any context to it. So if I was told that I had to be continuously monitored when there was no distress from her, and that's not me going into the positions I wanted to, then I'd have a problem. But the fact that we knew she was distressed from the meconium and things went so quickly that made her more distressed, I was more happy. Cool. So yeah, I think positive births are really important. Yeah.
I was just, I guess, trying to be protective. So yeah, it was.
And I think your protectiveness also made it more positive for me. Like I felt like I was protected. I felt like I could be in the moment with my contractions, or I felt like I could be high and they weren't going to mess around with me because I had you there. So, yeah.
That's good. That's really good. How much autonomy do you have, like, choosing which position you want to birth in?
Okay. So...
what if I'd rather squat, not lie on the bed? You get me? I feel like midwives can be pushy. I think that's...
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is about choosing where you birth and understanding what the rules are there and what the labour's going to be like. Now, on the birth centre, it was completely up to me. They were like, find your position, find what you want to do. It was fine. And the midwives just worked around me. They were so patient. It was lovely. And so you could be in whatever position you wanted to. I've also worked in labour suite, and I know that you can do that as well when you're not being continually monitored. But there is a difference being on the labour suite compared to being in a birth centre, and there's pros and cons to both. And some of it is that it gets more medicalised, and once it gets more medicalised, sometimes your positions are going to be compromised. And so the fact they wanted to get her out quickly meant that even though my pushes might have been more effective if I was on all fours, if I was squatting like I wanted to, they couldn't let me do that because they were preparing to do an episiotomy and to use an instrument to remove her. And they can't do that with me squatting. They've got to have my legs up. And so as things progressed, my options diminished. But it doesn't have to be like that. If you're having an uncomplicated birth, and especially depending where you choose to have it, you can be in whatever position you want. And that's what I was doing until the continuous monitoring had to start. So.
What's your best postpartum tips and products and must know, etc. from mummy?
I'm going to do a whole other video on this.
Cool. Alright,
Yeah.
so to be
continued.
To be continued. If you could make the choice again, would you still opt for a VBAC?
Yeah, okay, so absolutely, definitely. And I think I can say that because it's 7 days later and I can see what my recovery's like. With the C-section, it was very, very difficult for me, albeit I had an emergency C-section and I had an infection after the C-section, so that was all clouded my recovery. But I don't know what an elective section's like, so I'm sure the recovery is much better from that. But having my abdominal wall muscles cut open and then having to care for a 2-year-old and a newborn.
Would have been a mazza.
Oh, just no. Having to deal with a 3rd-degree tear was hard enough. But I'm on day 8 now, and I still feel a bit like swollen and bruised down there. But I am doing so much better.
I think...
so 100%.
Do you not feel like you had a bit of FOMO as well?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I really wanted the vaginal birth. I wanted to experience it.
Yeah.
And now that I've done it, and I think about having more kids, at first I was like, nah, I'm not doing an emergency section and then having a 3rd-degree tear. The next one's going to be an elective section. But now I'm like, but you don't know what happens with the next one. It could be a more gentle birth. I could have time to like breathe the baby down and push slower in a better position, and maybe I wouldn't tear so much.
Head could be smaller next time.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm very happy with the VBAC. I'd do it again.
Cool. How do you feel you were received as a black female? Would you recommend going private? Also, would you recommend a doula?
Okay. So, as a black female, I feel like on the birth centre, everything was fine. It was beautiful. I feel like they got to know me beforehand as well. I'd had like lots of discussions with them, and I felt like they saw me as more than just, you know, a black female. But we've seen the statistics out there, and I'm not going to lie, the way in which we were spoken to and some of the experience that you had, and then, you know what it is? It's always a difference when how they speak to me after they find out my profession. And the difference, I'm like, do you speak to all women like that? Or is it because I was just like a black woman and now you found my profession, you now want to treat me with more respect?
Yeah.
Or do you treat everyone like that until you find out they're a doctor? Like, if I was a white woman, do you know what I mean?
You have questions in it, but I mean, like, so when Amanda was stood up, because that was a better position than being on her back, when she's like, right, we'll give her the gas and air, she's like, oh, it won't reach, like the tube won't reach that far. But Amanda's already found a comfortable position, and I don't really want to move it that much. So I was like, okay, well, can you move the bed? Like, imagine the wall's over here, and it's so about here, and we're stood over here, and the bed's in the centre, or the tube is going over the bed. So I was like, okay, can you move the bed then? So can you move the bed across to make it easier for us to get to it? And she's like, if I move the bed, it's not going to make it any longer. And I'm like, well, why are you talking to me like I'm an idiot? If you move the bed, we can get closer without having to go around the bed. And it's little things like that where, are you assuming that I'm an idiot, or do you just talk to everyone like that? I don't, you know what I'm saying? And then as soon as you say, well, you're a doctor, oh, right, okay. So there's definitely, you always think, are you talking, like you said in it, are you talking to me like this because of what you, of your perceptions of me, or do you just not have time to be nice to people?
Yeah, and she came and explained how she was having this like difficult day and stuff. But you know what? I'm a medical professional too. I'm a healthcare professional, and especially moments like these, someone birthing their child, doesn't really matter what kind of day that you're having. That's part of the job. You need to, if you're short-staffed, when you walk into that room with that woman who's giving birth to a child, you need to suck it up and. Yeah,
but it's like that for like no matter what job, like if you're a professional, that's what you're supposed to do.
For whatever job,
and if you take pride in your work, innit?
Yeah, for whatever job, but then there's some instances where these are more, life shaping moments when you need to be a bit more. So like there might be someone that comes into my room and I'm having a bad day and they've come with a common cold or something, and maybe I'll just be quick with them. But then someone else is coming in about their depression or they've lost a family member, and even though I'm having a bad day with both of them, maybe with a cold I don't have to be so switched on, but with that other person I need to be better. And when you work in a labour suite and people giving birth to their children, you need to just suck it up. Yeah. But anyway.
Ari the doula. Oh wait, did you talk about private?
Oh yeah, private. For me, I like the NHS. I think that there's lots of options inside the NHS, so know what hospitals you're going to, know what birth centres are available, educate yourself, know what classes are available to you, because there is a lot there. I would say private I don't think is necessary, mostly because if anything does happen, any complications, you need to go back into the NHS anyway. Like, if something happens to your child, they're going to be getting NHS care. If something happens to you, you get an infection, you need to go out to A&E. Like, I feel like being part of this in the system, but working the system is what's important. If I had the money for private, I still can't really see myself going private.
I don't.
I
I think if money wasn't an object, then yeah, you go private. Because then all the aftercare that you're talking about would also be private. Everything would be private in it, so there'd be continuity potentially. So there'd be no transferring or whatever. But I think for me, it just seems like a lot of money for no reason. Instead of spending,
if it's a strain for you now, I wouldn't do it.
Instead of spending that money, just educate yourself on what it is that you need. So knowing what your plan is, making sure everyone around you knows what your plan is and what you're trying to avoid and where. And as long as you know all that and you can advocate for yourself, you can make sure that you get what you need, and then you don't actually need to spend all that money.
Have people around you that can advocate for you. And talking about a doula,
it said Ari the doula. What race would you recommend in light of the statistics?
Okay, so in terms of the doula, before this I wouldn't have said you needed one, but then having Sana on the phone, who is basically my doula, she was great. I thought she was wonderful, and I thought it meant that, especially when I was high, Raph had somebody else there as well. I don't know if you felt like that, but like just someone else to bounce things off, and
you know how,
and not somebody that's like actually, it's not like having my mum in the room and things are, there's like the emergency going on and it's all like high level whatever. It was someone that was very experienced in birth and was there just to help you get through the birth.
You're right, because I think there were times I was like, okay, Sana, so this is what they're saying, what do you reckon? But also when Amanda was sick of me and she's like, I'm doing it, I'm breathing, I'm trying, I cannot do this, okay. Sana would then say the same thing that I said and she'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. So
I think that, and given the statistics and stuff, talking about what you can do as a black woman to kind of protect yourself, a doula, brilliant, excellent. So I would definitely say get a doula. I would spend the money on that rather than going private.
Cool.
And in terms of race, I think it needs to be someone that knows you, that is invested in you. I don't think it matters what race they are. I don't think it needs to be a black woman or a black person. I think it needs to be someone that has gotten to know you, understands you, and cares about you as a person.
What was the hardest part about Labour second time round?
I didn't do it the first time round. I think it was my belief. Like, I think I was just a bit like apprehensive. Like, it was the unknown. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what is pushing? And like, pushing was really hard. Like, how long is this gonna take? Can I cope with all this? But it was more the unknown, and it was more the fear that my body couldn't do it, and I did it with a C-section. I think that was a lot hard for me. Just getting over the trauma of the first birth. That was what was difficult.
How would you describe your labour experience post-COVID? Post-COVID.
It's not post-COVID in hospitals. That's the problem.
Yeah, these men are moving mad in there,
It's not post-COVID, but what I would say is, I think it was a bit disappointing post-COVID that some of the antenatal classes, a second time mum, it wasn't a big deal for me, but I feel like as a first time mum, there was no classes that were offered. And I think that was really disappointing. I wouldn't have gone to them, to be fair, second time mum, like I said, but like it would be nice for them to be offered. Having to do a lot of antenatal appointments by myself was a bit like meh, but also you got to come to the scans, so it was alright.
Yeah.
And then
you had to stay by yourself though.
Yeah, that was what was annoying. So
I wasn't allowed to stay, but
yeah, with Isabella, my mum stayed overnight with me the first night. No one could stay, and also the only visitor you're allowed is your birth partner. And so I was in for 2 days. Isabella didn't get to come to hospital to see her. My parents didn't get to meet her until I came home. I wasn't allowed any visitors.
Yeah, and also visits were like 1 till 6.
Yeah, visiting didn't start till 1 p.m. And so like the first morning at 7 o'clock, they're like, "Do you want to have a shower?" And they just like brought me a towel, and like I was really bruised and just giving birth. So no one could like be with the baby while I went into the shower. No one could help me to go into the shower.
So what do you mean?
Did I not tell you? What do you mean?
So when you went for a shower?
Yeah, like I just put the baby just like in the car.
You wheeled her in with you?
No, just by the bed. I left the curtains open, and the student midwife was hovering around. And obviously all the other moms are in the bay, but like it's things like that, innit? Like you're just by yourself. And and like I was finding it hard to bend down to like pick up things, and so when I finished it, I was like, oh sorry, I can't pick up this off the floor. Could you?
Don't drop the soap, but for a different reason.
Yeah, so it was just like lack of help, and then they want you to get everything done in the morning. You know, make sure you've done your 2 weeds by 11 a.m. and you've got like no one there with you. So that was just a bit rubbish. So it was still affected by COVID, but yeah. And to be honest, I wouldn't have had anyone else in the room. I think Raph was only supposed to be my birth partner for Isabella anyway, so I would have only just had him. And I think Saddam was great on the phone. I don't think I would have needed anyone else in the room.
What's the hardest part about having a toddler and a newborn? Hiding face emoji.
The hardest part is the toddler adjusting. The newborn's easy, especially second time round. You're more relaxed, but your toddler adjusting to, she's in love with her baby sister. She's obsessed with her, wants to kiss her, hold her all the time, but she also now has to share us, and she doesn't feel great about it all the time. Yeah,
so you know, like when they say, the whole famous line of America, like we don't negotiate with terrorists. Like these terrorists don't want to negotiate. Like she wants her own way. It's difficult. I think it's difficult.
It's getting better quickly.
It is. She's adjusting to it. We're adjusting to it. We did try and circumvent the issue as much as possible. When Izzy came in from nursery, we weren't holding her.
Yeah, we
for
weren't
a start.
holding her.
And leaning next to the cot was a new toy for her, and we said it was from Athena.
And she loved that.
Yeah. So obviously little things like that, and I know that people have tried that. But yeah, it's just adjusting and realising that actually I've got to share them now, but they both still love me.
And it's also being patient with Isabella, because some of the things that she's doing, normal circumstances, not acceptable. And obviously it's still not acceptable, but it's also like she's doing this because her whole world's being kind of turned upside down. And so she needs more attention and love and patience, not more timeouts. But it's just hard to be like, you just like threw all your food on the floor and spat everywhere and screamed and kicked me. And yeah. Yeah. You two have fallen out. Yes, we've fallen out.
They actually fell out.
Yeah, we have.
It was crazy. Anyway, she's 2. She's 29. It was mad. I didn't know what to do. Okay, so last question. Could you have done anything different to improve your labour experience?
Guys, I feel like I did everything I possibly could to allow myself to have the dream birth. And I feel like everything that happened, I don't know, there's nothing else that I would have been able to change. I don't know what else there was. Like, I was patient. I let my body go into labour naturally. I followed instructions. I educated myself. I went with my instinct, going to the birth centre instead of going straight to the delivery suite. I feel like I did everything that I could. I asked for discussions with consultants before birth. I asked for discussion with the birth centre before birth. I had how much going back and forth and understanding statistics and everything. Like, I tried my absolute best with everything. And that's why I'm happy with the birth that I had, because I don't know what else I would have done. The only regret that I had initially was that I pushed so hard that I told myself the way that I did. And then they showed me her trace. And then I was like, okay, I'll take a 3rd-degree tear to get this one out. That's fine. So, no, I don't know what else I would do.
Is it true? Heartburn links to the amount of hair on a child's head?
I don't know. Both my kids had loads of hair and I had heartburn with both of them, so... But yeah, she's here, she's amazing. And that's all the questions. So thank you so much for watching. I know that was a long video. If you made it this far, well done. And we will see you next week, where I think it's going to be the first week home with this little one.
Yeah, maybe. Subscribe.
Like,
to
comment,
this channel.
share.
Like, comment, share. Follow on Instagram.
That's it.
All the things.
See you.
Peace.